he mentioned was that Arizona is one of the 8 western states that are community property states. I would encourage you to get your Black's Law Dictionary out and take notes. Write these things down so you can do the research for yourself. And if you don't have a Black's Law, get your secular dictionary, but defer to a Black's Law. The other states are common law states, including Utah, with the exception of Louisiana, which is a Napoleonic code state. He then explained some of the technicalities of the marriage license. He said, first of all, the marriage license is a secular contract between the parties and the state. The state is the principal party in that secular contract. The husband and wife are secondary or inferior parties. The secular contract is a 3-way contract between the state as principal and the husband and the wife as the other 2 legs of the contract. He said, in the traditional sense, the marriage is a covenant between the husband and wife and God. But in the secular contract with the state, reference to God is a dotted line and not officially considered in the secular contract at all, he said. If the husband and the wife wish to include God as a party in their marriage, that is a dotted line, they will have to add in their own minds. The state's marriage license is strictly secular, he said. He said further that what he meant by the relationship to God being a dotted line meant that the state regards the mention of God as irrelevant, even meaningless. In his description of the marriage license contract, he related one other dotted line. He said, in the traditional religious context, marriage was a covenant between the husband and the wife and God, with the husband and wife joined as one. This is not the case in the secular realm of the state's marriage license contract. The state is the principal dominant party. The husband and the wife are merely contractually joined as business partners, not in any religious union. They may even be considered, he said, connected to each other. In his description of marriage license contract, he related one other dotted line. He said, in the traditional religious context, marriage was a covenant between husband and wife and God, with the husband and wife joined as one party. This is not the case in the secular realm of the state's marriage license contract. The state is the principal or dominant party. The husband and the wife are merely contractually joined as business partners, not in any religious union. They may even be considered, he said, to connect to each other by another dotted line. The picture he was trying to paint was that of a triangle with the state at the top and a solid line to extending from the apex, the state, down the left side to the husband, and a separate dotted line extended down the right side to the wife. A dotted line merely showing that they consider themselves to have entered into a religious union of some sort. That is irrelevant to the state. He further mentioned that this religious overtone is recognized by the state by requiring that the marriage must be solemnized either by a state official or by a minister of religion that has been deputized by the state to perform the marriage ceremony and make a return of the signed and executed marriage license to the state. Again, he emphasized that marriage is a strictly secular relationship. so far as the state is concerned, and because it is looked upon as a privileged business enterprise, various tax advantages and other political privileges have been attached to the marriage license contract that have nothing at all to do with marriage as a religious covenant or a bond between God and man and a woman. By way of reference, if you would like to read the legal treatise on marriage, one of the best is Principles of Community Property by William Defunka, D-E-F-U-N-I-A-K. At the outset, he explains that community property law descends from Roman civil law through the Spanish codes, A.D. 600, written by the Spanish jurisconsults. In a civil law, the marriage is considered to be a for-profit venture or profit-making venture, even though it may never actually produce a profit in operation. And as the wife goes out to the local market to purchase foodstuffs and other supplies for the marriage household, she is replenishing the stocks of the business. To restate, in the civil law, the marriage is considered to be a business venture, that is, a for-profit business venture. Moreover, as children come into the marriage household, the business venture is considered to have borne fruit. Now, back to the explanation by the Capricopa, County Superior Court Marriage Bureau's administrative assistant. He went on to explain that every contract must have consideration. The state offers consideration in the form of the actual license itself, a piece of paper, the certificate of marriage. The other part of consideration by the state is the privilege to be regulated by statute. He added that this privilege to be regulated by statute includes all related statutes and all court cases as they are ruled on by the courts, and all statutes and regulations into the future of the years following the commencement of the marriage. He said, in a way, the marriage license contract is a dynamic or flexible, ever-changing contract as time goes on along. Even though the husband and wife didn't realize that, my thought on this is, can it really be considered a true contract as one becomes aware of the failure by the state to make full disclosure of the terms and conditions? A contract must be entered into knowingly, intelligently, intentionally, and with fully informed consent. Otherwise, technically, there is no contract. Another way to look as the marriage license contract with the state is a contract of adhesion, a contract between two desperate, unequal parties. Again, a flawed contract. Such a contract with the state is said to be a specific performance contract as to the privileges, duties, and responsibilities that attach. Consideration on the part of the husband and wife is the actual fee paid and the implied agreement to be subject to the state's statutes, rules, and regulations, and all court cases ruled on